In the quiet corners of rural Maine, where fog hangs heavy over the water, lies the serene lakeside village of Mistmere Hollow. For generations, life here has moved to the rhythm of the tides, a rhythm dictated by the vast, ancient lake that is both its heart and its lifeblood. Every dawn, before the sun burns through the mist, a dedicated crew of fishermen sets out. Their leader is Captain Harlan, a man whose face is a roadmap of countless seasons on the water. With him are his loyal crew, the quick-witted deckhand Mia, the strong and steady net mender Tomas, and the eager newcomer, Leo, his eyes still wide with the promise of the deep. Their weathered boats cut through the inky surface as they push off from the shore, disappearing into the gray embrace of the morning fog. They cast their wide nets, a familiar ritual passed down through generations, hoping for the shimmering silver of trout, the fight of a strong bass, or the rare prize of an elusive silver isla catch that guarantees a profitable day at the weekend market. The entire village depends on their success. The fish they bring back feeds families, fuels the local economy, and inspires the pleas told around crackling bonfires at night. Stories of legendary catches, and, of course, the big one that got away. Echo in the crisp night air. It was a dependable cycle, a constant, comforting presence in their lives. Until one fateful autumn day, when the familiar waters turned against them, and the lake decided it was time to collect a debt. The day began like any other, but with a spark of excitement. A passing hiker had shared rumors of a massive school of fish, spotted farther out than the crew usually ventured. Lured by the promise of an unprecedented haul, Captain Harlan steered his boat into uncharted territory. The air was crisp, the water placid. It was Mia who first noticed something was wrong. She pointed to the surface, her voice a hushed whisper. "Captain, look." Bubbles were rising from the depths, but not in the random patterns of escaping gas. These were perfect, concentric circles, expanding with an unnatural rhythm, as if a colossal creature was breathing just beneath their hull. Tomas, ever the joker, let out a nervous laugh. "Whales don't swim in lakes, Mia." But his laughter faded when their nets, cast into the supposedly teeming waters, came up light. They snagged on something, pulled taut, but when they hauled them in, they were empty. Completely empty. Except for one strange discovery clinging to the mesh. A handful of iridescent scales. They shimmered with an otherworldly light, shifting from impossible blues to venomous greens colors that belonged to no fish known to man. A chill, colder than the autumn air, settled over the crew. They tried to brush it off, blaming the strange light or antric of the water. But as the afternoon wore on, the unease curdled into outright terror. Leo, who had been quietly manning his own line, suddenly felt a heavy tug. He grunted with effort, his face alight with the thrill of a big catch. It reeled it in, the line groaning under the weight. But what breached the surface was not a fish. It was a human hand. Pale, pruned, and eerily preserved. It was still clutching a rusted locket. As Harlan pried it open, he found a faded, forgotten village crest engraved inside. Panic, cold and sharp, erupted on the boat. Before they could process the horror, more grim discoveries began to surface. The lake seemed to be purging its secrets. Bones, tangled in strange, kelp-like weeds that didn't grow in fresh water, bobbed to the surface. Antique fishing lures with their hooks bent inward, as if crushed by an immense force, floated amidst the debris. A waterlogged journal surfaced, its pages filled with frantic, spidery script. The words spoke of a long-lost settlement, a town that once stood where the lake now lay. It told the story of a dam built in the 19th century, a project that had drowned the original town and, with it, a terrible curse. As dusk began to bleed across the sky, the fog rolled in, thicker and more suffocating than any of them had ever seen. It wasn't just fog. It felt a living shroud that cut them off from the world. The water, once calm, began to churn with a violent, unnatural energy. Beneath the surface, shadows writhed and twisted, elongated, humanoid figures with eyes that glowed with a faint, malevolent light. They were rising from the sunken depths, drowned souls awakened and seeking revenge. Just as Harlan frantically tried to start the engine, it sputtered, coughed, and died, stranding them in the heart of the nightmare. The air grew still, and then a whisper. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, carried on the waves, echoing in the fog. You took from us, ... Now you will give back. The horror was swift and merciless. An icy, tendril-like shape shot out of the water, wrapping around Mia's ankle and pulling her under before she could even scream. Her face was a mask of shock, her eyes wide with a terror that would haunt Harlan forever. The water barely rippled where she disappeared. Tomas roared in fury and grief, grabbing a gaff hook to fight back against the unseen enemy. But as he stood at the edge of the boat, a shadow enveloped him, and his scream was abruptly cut short. He simply vanished into the depths. Leo, paralyzed by fear, was next. The boat rocked violently, and he was thrown overboard, his desperate cries swallowed by the churning water. Soon, only Harlan was left, alone on the violently pitching boat. He clutched the rusted locket in his hand as the vessel finally capsized, plunging him into the freezing, grasping darkness. The whispers surrounded him, promising an eternity in the cold deep. Back in Mistmere Hollow, the village waited. When the crew didn't return by nightfall, search parties were sent out. 4 days, they combed the lake, their calls echoing unanswered across the foggy expanse. All they found were the empty boats, drifting aimlessly, and a scattering of those strange, unnatural scales washed up on the shore. The village of Mistmere Hollow was never the same. A new fear took root, a fear of the water they had once revered. Now, the locals avoid the lake after dark. They speak in hushed tones of the drowned catch, a hungry curse lurking in the depths, forever waiting for new fishermen to venture too far. They say that on the foggiest mornings, if you stand by the shore and listen very, very closely, you can still hear the sound of nets being dragged through the water, ... and the faint, desperate cries for help bubbling up from below. Thank you so much for joining me on this chilling journey into the depths of Mistmere Hollow. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tales from the shadows. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to Captain Harlan. Until next time, stay safe and be careful what you fish for.